Welcome back to the Gary Sutton Show on WSBA, and Joe Messina is the host of the Real Side Radio Show, which is broadcast in 42 states, 38 countries, and on the internet. He is a radio talk show host, columnist, and political pundit. And the topic this morning is there's no war on religion, it's on Christianity. He just wrote that the other day in his blog. And hey, Joe, welcome back to the show. How are you?
Well, thanks for having me back. I appreciate it.
Always a pleasure having you on. And you got a lot of calls you said on this one. There is no war on religion, it's on Christianity. What inspired you?
Well, I'm watching all this stuff go down, obviously in other blogs and TV, quote-unquote, the mainstream media. And, they're trying to make it out like the Christians are just whining and that, everybody is equally persecuted. So I started looking at some of these stories and thinking, well, wait a minute. I think a Bible is a Christian thing. I think the cross is a Christian thing, and I'm looking at all these things going down. So the war is not on religion as a whole. These organizations like the Freedom from Religion Freaks, they're also known as the Freedom from Religion Foundation.
Right.
They're not targeting Muslims. They're not targeting Jews. Everything they go after is Christian-based or has a Christian bent to it, if you would.
One of the things that I thought really was pertinent, and you started the article out with it by saying there's a physical war in the Middle East on Jews. There's also a physical war in Iraq, for example, on Christians and anybody else that's not a Muslim right now, the way the ISIS people see it. But we have an ongoing war right now in this country on Christians that's not maybe a physical war, but it's a psychological one. I was touched a few weeks ago about the lady down in North Carolina that was giving people a 15% discount when she saw them kind of meditating before they ate their dinner or lunch or breakfast, and all of a sudden
right.
The Freedom from Religion comes out and says, by the way, we don't think this is right. We might file a suit down the way. And the lady says, I can't afford that, puts a note in the window and says, we're not doing it anymore. I mean, our Bill of Rights didn't say we have freedom from religion. We have a decent respect for religion, and we don't have a state-sponsored religion, which I think the state's been pretty good at. But it didn't say run and be frightened and fall down and suck your thumb and get in a fetal position if someone says something about religion.
Well, it's all about the money, right? I mean, people only have so much money to fight these things with. And it's funny you bring up that one because there was another one a couple of days ago at a pizza place who said, look, they had a sign out front that says, bring your Sunday church bulletin, and we'll give you 15% off your meal.
Right.
So these Freedom from Religion freaks, again, sent a letter to this place and said, look, you keep this up, we're going to sue you because it's discrimination.
Exactly.
All right? And you know what the pizza guy said? Go for it. All right, come, because you're telling me that if I give the Boy Scouts a discount, it's discrimination. If I, you know what I'm saying? If I give seniors a discount, it's discrimination.
How about if you give the Little League team a discount? Is that discrimination?
There you go. I mean, this is how crazy it's gotten. But because it's religious, and then they attack, like I said, one at a time, it's very hard to fight. Again. Bring your church bulletin. I don't think it's a Jewish thing. I don't think that's an Islamic thing, right? They're targeting Christians. Well,
this lady that was given that prayer discount basically didn't ask them what religion they were in, didn't say, are you Christian, are you Muslim, are you Jewish, or anything else. In fact, she didn't ask, are you any religion at all? You might have just been sitting there thinking about it and saying, hey, I'm kind of happy. I'm sitting down having a good meal. Geez, I just want to linger on it here before I start. That food looks really good. Didn't ask that. And it was a random kind of thing. I wonder where does this all start? I mean, is it basically calculated, or is it just the idea of we can test it, so let's go test it? Or is it the idea that Christianity is some kind of threat to a society that a lot of people see as much better than a moral-based society?
Well, look, I mean, if you want to get spiritual about it, the Bible says that those who believe in Jesus are always going to be persecuted. There's always going to be pressure on them. People are always going to hate them, all right? So you're out there and you're doing your thing, and because we can't do something nice for God's sake, we have to do something nice just for doing something nice sake, which I don't get at all. Again, you come back to why is the society like this? I don't know. I think it seems like we're always looking for somebody to be mad at for something. It's like this thing that's going on in St. Louis right now.
Right.
immediately after it happened, and again, I feel for the family. I mean, whatever that kid did or didn't do, you lose a son or a daughter, it's a big deal. But right away, it has to be the cops' fault. Right away, it has to be, there's a bad thing happening. So when Christians step up, especially, and we are in the majority, if you would, in this country, and we're doing things all over the place, these guys figure we've always backed down in the past. We've never really fought about anything. It's kind of like, okay, you don't want prayer in school, we'll back away. We'll go do our thing. Okay, you don't want us to talk about this here? Okay, we won't do that either. We won't pray before, a public event or at a school district or something like that. And we've always backed away from it. Well, all of a sudden, in the last 5, 6, 7 years, you're seeing a little bit of an uprising. Now you're seeing, well, wait a minute, I have the same rights you have.
Yeah.
So we're pushing back, which is making them crazy because we've never done it before.
Right. We always assumed that everybody was going to kind of be decent, leave each other alone, that there was a recognition that this was at the basis of our country, whether you say, well, it wasn't totally at the basis. Well, it wasn't maybe totally at the basis, but guess what? A lot of things that were built into our society were talked about, at least to some degree, in the Declaration of Independence and other things, indicated that, hey, we didn't try to build the society on a garbage heap. We tried to build it on some kind of decent morals. I was really interested in your article. And you were talking about some of the specific situations that the Freedom from Religion Foundation lost a lawsuit they filed against, of all places, the 9/11 Memorial Museum. Tell us about that one.
All right, I have to start it off by saying, how dumb can you be, right? So here it is. You've got, and it was funny because when they dedicated that thing, I think it was dedicated by a Jewish fireman, and he was surrounded by atheist firemen, Christian firemen, just everybody around him.
Tried to cover all the bases. Yeah.
But these guys weren't forced, and that was the big deal. They weren't forced to come there. So the bottom line with it was, when people see a cross, for the most part, they understand it's a religious symbol. To some, it's a symbol of hope. Well, that day when we lost 3,000 Americans, when those buildings fell and those men were fighting, when they saw that at the bottom of the rubble, for them it was a sign of hope. It didn't make them, they didn't stop and go, oh my God, I have to believe in Jesus now because there's a cross at the bottom of this mess. It wasn't what it was all about. It was just mentally a symbol of hope, and they kept digging. And even the atheist guy said, we kept digging. We knew that there had to be people here. So I think these guys, every time they see a cross or something, they go into like an epileptic fit. They start to shake and tremble, and even the attorney said that some of their members were suffering from dyspepsia, which ultimately, when you read it, take a bottle of Pepto-Bismol. You'll be fine in the morning.
Thanks,
That's what it boils down to. You get upset stomach.
Put some chalk down there, yeah.
Yeah, well, the same thing every time before you take a test at school, right? I mean, I guess that's what I should have called it. Sister, I have dyspepsia now. I can't take the test. Right. But across at the 9/11 memorial, thank God, the judges had the horse sense to say, look, this has nothing to do with religion, and this is a symbol of one of the most horrible things that have happened in this country. You know what, guys? Go away.
It was interesting, and you pointed out in your article, the court sided actually with the American people and said that not only was it a symbol of hope, which you mentioned, but it was also part of our national heritage and history. Mm-hmm. Thank you very much, courts. And I love the line you had in there directly out of the court. They said, given the absence of any evidence of ulterior religious motives and the undisputed historical significance of the cross at Ground Zero, we conclude that, as a matter of law, the record compels the conclusion that the actual purpose of displaying the cross in the September 11th museum is a genuine secular interest in recounting the history of extraordinary events, quote unquote.
Yeah, go ahead and fight that one, boys.
Yeah. I mean
seriously, I don't know. It's again, the nasties aimed at the Christians as a whole is just amazing to me, especially in this country. And you brought it up earlier. I love the play on this one. Is they're trying to tell, and they're trying to rewrite history, that our founding fathers wanted nothing to do with religion. I just laugh. I say, look, the guy you give all the credit to for the separation of church and state, he must have had Alzheimer's at about 30 years old, because think about it. He used a federal building to hold church services on a Sunday. Okay, he brought in the military band to play the church hymns. So for a guy who wanted total separation of church and state, he was very, 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 very confused.
And you know what's interesting is you look at the Declaration of Independence, and it says We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal. They are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. I don't know if they meant somebody here on Earth. I'm thinking that maybe they thought somebody would. Up at the top, they talk about the political bands which have connected with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them. And then people say, well, they weren't talking about God. They were talking about something else. And then these people were just deists. The idea deists believed on something higher than, whatever you wanted to call them, God or whatever, that helped to make this country, right?
Well, it's perfect. They want a separation. They want God out of everything. But our founding fathers had God in everything. I mean, think about the Continental Congress. They couldn't get anywhere for, what was it, a week, or maybe it might have been longer. I just can't remember. But the bottom line was the least religious of the group. Franklin steps up and says, "Hey, you know what the problem is here? We forgot how we got here. We forgot the divine providence that got us to this place to be the nation that we are. We need to come back and give credit to God." And for the Continental Congress, in the open, for 3 days, they fasted, they prayed, they had church services there.
Yeah, imagine that.
While they again, language was different back then. Separation meant to be together, apparently, to be part of, because it's just today what they're trying to shove down our throats is not what our founding fathers wanted. Now, again, let's just be clear. Our founding fathers weren't forcing everybody to be Christians, but they sure as heck weren't discouraging people from being Christians.
And that's the whole point, that when you look at the amendment number 1 in the Bill of Rights, I mean, it doesn't say run from religion. What it says is, last I checked, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. Thank you very much, which we never remember that comma, and there it is. You talked about another situation here, the attempt to remove Bibles from U.S. Navy lodges around the globe. What is that all about?
I
read the story, but yeah.
It's about craziness. Look, I don't know, and I don't want to get too political here, but the bottom line with it is that the current administration is pushing real hard on the military to kind of remove any kind of religious anything from all the services, and even to the point where some of the higher-ups are being replaced with more moderately religious people, if you would, and non-religion type of people. So you talk about the Marines. We had an issue with the Marines where the Bibles, you couldn't leave your Bible out on your nightstand or out in the barracks. You had to have it in your footlocker and make sure that nobody, if you were talking about God or godly things when another soldier came up, you had to stop unless you had permission from that soldier to keep speaking it. I mean, that's crazy stuff, right?
Well, you don't want someone to go in the fetal position and start sucking their thumb on the floor because they see that Bible and go, oh my gosh, there you go again. Or maybe they'll get this Pepsi again. Who knows?
Yeah. They're so upset by the talk of God that they won't be able to protect themselves or you, and they want to make sure everybody's safe, right?
And drooling will be involved. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, the U.S. Navy lodges, I did notice myself that around the globe there's hotels, if you would, and lodges that are managed by the U.S. Navy. So the group claimed that offering Bibles to guests constituted an endorsement of religion. And I'm thinking to myself, so if I put a book, any kind of book on the table, I'm endorsing that book or what have you. So what they said is the Bibles had to be removed, totally removed, so there wouldn't be any hint of religion. Well, you saw my piece, and I said, well, wait a minute. How about we do fair and equal? Let's throw a Quran in there. Let's throw a Torah in there.
Sure.
I don't know what the Buddhist or spiritualist use, but we can throw that in there. We'll throw a dictionary in there, and what's going to happen next is, are they going to block Bible sites on the internet in that hotel? Well, because listen, if you make them accessible, that means you're encouraging it, right?
Joe, I got a better idea. Put a bookshelf in there. Put them all in there. Okay, that would be it. Joe Messina is the host of the Real Side Radio Show. We'll be right back. Talk more about the attack, the war, if you will, in our country on Christianity with Joe Messina here on the Gary Sutton Show on News Radio 910 WSBA. Welcome back to the Gary Sutton Show on WSBA with Joe Messina, who is the host of The Real Side. He also blogs under that. And, yes, there is a war on religion, but not on religion. It's on Christianity, and Joe's back with a show. The piece you wrote is so good. But you said in that Navy situation where they removed all the Bibles from the Navy lodges around the globe. You said the group claimed that offering Bibles to guests constituted an endorsement of religion, so they needed to be removed. And then you said, I've never heard of anyone walking up and down the lodge halls screaming, "Get your Bibles here, brand new, never open, get them here while they're free." So they weren't exactly pushing them on anybody, but it was like if you opened that drawer and you saw the Gideon Bible that we see so many times we go to a hotel and so forth, something was going to happen to magically transform you into some, a dwarf or something like that. I don't know what happened. Yeah.
I got to tell you something, and not just because I'm a Christian, but how many people have you heard stories from or you read where they were, one of the lowest points in their life, and they popped that Bible, it just happened to be in the drawer, and they just popped it open, and something changed them. And I don't care whether you believe in it or not, but something changed them. Something saved a life, right?
Yeah.
I've never heard one story of somebody saying they walked in a hotel room, they were very happy and excited, they opened up the Bible, they saw the misery, and then shot themselves. And I've never read anything like that in my life. So, my attitude is, it's not hurting anybody. What is your problem?
Right. And it's not being pushed on you. It's not like you have to open it. It's lying there in the drawer. Now, if you say, well, I'm bringing along my Bible, my Talmud, or I'm bringing along whatever, good, great, that have at it. But the idea that you're going to pick on someone else for having a different idea than you, and on something else that was, at least in a great part, served as a basis for this country, is really, really wrong. There was a situation that happened here you'll get a kick out of, Joe, that we had over here, a little place called Hanover. We have a little park. And if you didn't know where it was, you wouldn't know how to get there. It's called Wirt Park. And in Wirt Park, they had the Ten Commandments. And it was the Ten Commandments, what you may have heard about this, Ten Commandments things, where they put them up around the country in 1961, in honor of the Ten Commandments movie with Charlton Heston and all that. So anyway, this thing had been there for years. And some guy, or gal, I'm not sure who, walks by it one day, apparently convulsed or something because it was there, and they just now realized it. And so they went to this outfit, and I talked to the guy in the air for the outfit, nice guy, but they said, the freedom from religion kind of thing, you can't have this, you got to take it down. It's not private property. So what the town does is put it up for bid, made the 10-foot square area, whatever it was, private property. Somebody bought it. They put a little fence around it, and now it sits there as part of the public park as private property. And then they said, you can't do this. They said, yeah, we can. It's private property. Sorry, we own it. So Christians are fighting back. Yes. I mean, Christians are fighting back. And, I think it's important. You got to stand up for your religion anymore because so many things are under attack, the values and some of the Christian-based values. And again, because they're Christian-based values doesn't mean you disregard everybody else and say you're all wrong, although I would maybe argue a little bit with ISIS right now over their values versus ours. But there you go.
Yeah, you're right on the head with that. I love the small town in Georgia. Did you hear about this with the football team?
Oh, yeah.
They have a scripture posted that has to do with perseverance, with fighting through, right? I mean, it's football.
Sure.
That's what you do. So these guys went nuts with this, and they said, if you keep this up, we're going to sue you. So what? And they said they had one parent, unnamed, they wouldn't give up the name, who complained about it, which you and I both know at that point it's a line of crock.
Right.
So what's happened to it?
It's also, by the way, the parent of the kid not starting, but go ahead.
Yeah, right. Probably. I hadn't even thought about that. But they had 200 parents show up and line around the field and pray. It's like, come on, get us. Come on down. It was great. I mean, that's the kind of thing that you need to do. And you also had a great line in here. You said the military ordered all chapels to remove all religious symbols. Also, the Pentagon came down on that. You said, or hide them so no one could see them. And you say, isn't that like taking down the golden arches at McDonald's? What sense does that make? A chapel without religious symbols, where's the outcry on the prayer rooms and turbans? Yeah, that's a little bit of a story, too. Yeah, well, and that's the fun thing about it. That's why I say it's an attack on Christianity. Can you imagine Christians saying, look, we have got to have a place dedicated to us every Sunday. You got to give us one or two or however many rooms we need for us to come and pray. There would be, these guys would be going on their minds. Their eyeballs would be popping out of their head. The Muslims come in and say, we have to pray, I think it's 5 times a day, and we need quiet places to be. And what do? They don't even argue the point. They give them, the military people give them the rooms they need, how much room they need, even to the point of a memo recently going out and saying, hey, for the month of Ramadan or for the period of Ramadan, do not eat in front of the Muslim people. And I'm thinking, okay, so where's the memo? Hey, on Fridays, don't eat meat in front of the Catholic guys.
Right. Exactly.
Where is all this stuff?
Yeah.
It's not there. That's why I say it's a war on Christianity. It's not a war on religion as a whole.
If people want to read this, go to therealside.com. It's a great piece. There is no war on religion. It's on Christianity. Joe, I always have a great deal of fun talking with you. We got to stick together out there as talk show hosts, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I look at. I enjoy being with you as well. I think it's the open, fast dialogue is always great.
You love it, Joe. Thanks so much. Take care, my friend. We can't wait till next time. All right.
Yeah. You too. Thank you.
Joe Messina, who is a fellow talk show host and wrote this, The Real Side. TheRealSide.com. Find it. There is no war on religion. It's on Christianity. It's not only fairly true. It's fun. Okay. Talk show hosts know how to have fun, right? Well, when we come back, we're going to have some fun with you. Yeah, fun and interesting and serious and the whole deal. As it's your turn to make the call. And I want to hear what you want to talk about. I've got a ton of things on the table, but I want to hear from you. 1-800-357-0910. You can tweet me at Gary G. Sutton, and you can call and send me Gary.Sutton at Cumulus.com. An email. It's 11 o'clock.